Hey, it's Kevin. Thanks for stopping by another No BS social media update. One of the most frustrating things about social media, the easiest way isn't always, well, the best way or the right way. And I think that's the toughest part for people to get. They're always looking for the shortcut, always looking for the easy part. And I understand that. And hey, let me tell you, I've lived that life my entire life. I'm always looking for the easiest, no resistance way. But it doesn't always work that way. Give you an example. Facebook is funny about wanting you to use Facebook to do all your work on, meaning all your social media work. So if you're going to post something on Facebook, there are lots of ways you can do it. You can link up your Twitter account to post it on Twitter and then just have it go over to Facebook. Or you can use tools like Hootsuite, or you can use tools like Buffer, or a lot of the different social media posting tools to do that. And I actually was a big fan of some of them before, and I actually still use them to this day, because there are some nuances where you just got to do it. But if you're looking for true engagement, if you're looking for true involvement from your fans, your followers, your friends, well, especially with Facebook, you can't really do it. Well, you can, but you're going to suffer the consequences. Because, and you can look online and people will tell you all the work they've done to figure out that it's already tough to get engagement on Facebook. 5 to 10% of your people are going to see your posts on Facebook to begin with. But if you use tools, those shortcuts, if you will, to post those things on Facebook, the engagement's even less. Well, think about it. Facebook wants you on their site, so you'll see their advertising, and it's, again, you get what you pay for. We've talked about that in the past. So while the simple way you would think is always the easiest and the best way, it's not. And you've really got to take that into account. I do a lot of stuff with Instagram. Instagram has become my personal favorite social media site. I would say, like, for my wife, Pinterest is probably one of her favorites. Pinterest or Facebook, that's where she does the most of her stuff. She doesn't spend a lot of time on Twitter, very little on YouTube. For me, again, personally, I love Instagram. So I also use it for our company, Intensity Media. You can follow our account on Instagram at Intensity Media, all one word, of course. But the one thing I found is every day I post at least one piece of content from Intensity Media. And I kind of do a today is kind of thing. It's a carryover from when I was in radio. Every day is a holiday in theory. And I'm not just talking big holidays like Labor Day or Memorial Day or Veterans Day or anything like that. I'm talking National Date Nut Bread Day, National Literacy Day, National Apple Pie Day, just silly little food holidays. National Underwear Day was a few months ago. Well, I found that if I post that picture, which we've spent a lot of time working on in Photoshop, creating at least 365, I think we've got more like 500 of them for different days of the year. And if you were to post it on Instagram, you can then share it from Instagram to Twitter, to Facebook, to lots of different sites. The problem is when you share a picture from Instagram, which is owned by Facebook now, to Twitter, it just sends a link to the post on Instagram, which is great if you want to get people to see it. But it doesn't give you that embedded picture in the Twitter timeline, which is more important. Well, to me, getting the engagement on Twitter for my Twitter followers is important. So what I end up doing is I share it on Instagram. Then I go over and basically cut and paste the copy that I used to say today is such and such, a little pithy comment that goes with it. And then I go over to Twitter and basically cut and paste and do the same thing. A little extra work, but again, it's the smarter way of doing things rather than the easier way of doing things. Now, of course, I can also share it to Facebook, but as I found, and having done this both ways, you don't get as much involvement, you don't get as much engagement. So I then go over to Facebook, go into the app, and go in and share it there through Facebook. It's those little nuances. Again, it's a little bit more work. It takes me 5 minutes to do it every day. After the initial work of getting all the Photoshop work done, it takes me 5 minutes every day, where it could take me, well, a minute or 30 seconds. It's worth it to me to get the extra engagement for 5 minutes versus 1 minute. And I think you have to juggle that sometimes. You have to decide which is the best way for you. And you'll learn those nuances too. So easiest isn't always the best way, even though in your heart of hearts you want it to be. So sometimes you got to do a little bit more work, a few more extra steps, and it's going to make all the difference in the world. We'll talk more about those things and more about the nuances of all these sites as we go on here with our video series. Of course, you know that. I always encourage you to go back to earlier in the series. They're not necessarily time sensitive. There may be some things that have changed about nuances about how sites work and things like that, but for the most part, these are social media basics. Check them out. You can always find us, nobssocial.com, all the videos right there, also on our YouTube channel, No BS Social. And of course, too, you can find us online, intensitymedia.com, intensitymedia.net. All my contact information coming up. Would love to hear from you. See you next week, another No BS social media video.